So today we have a sci-fi bomb up in space. I started with that sound. Recently there was a black hole. Guys captured the sound of a black hole. Why it was an exploding star, I'm not sure, but it sounded pretty much like this, where two stars were colliding to create a black hole. I think it sounded like something like this, and this is a sci-fi space thing, space explosion. So I thought putting something like that will be cool, since we know in space there is no air. You have to be creative with your space sound designs. So I put my sound there, and then I went for something like a kick drum, something to just give me some low end. And you can use a kick drum, or you can use some other stuff which I'll show you in a later video of how can you get sub bass to make your explosions fat and impactful. So as you can see there, I just put a limiter on my thingy there just to give it more, to bring out more of the sub. Because an explosion without sub is, yes, I know it's happening in space, but the sub part of it needs to be there because it's force, it's an explosion. You need that sub. And in this case, as I said, I'm just going to be using a basic kick drum. Just put it in there, layer it with another explosion. You'll hear the sound. Yes, that's more, not really an explosion, but just a click sound. Click sound. This is just to add to my layer, to just make my layer more fat. As you know, this is in space, there is no air, so you can't expect or have the same sound that we'd have on the ground, because sound is the displacement of air molecules, if you remember that. So in air there is less, there is really less of the air displacement, but sound does happen, but it happens differently. So also just also limit it just to, I'm just doing bottom, just to give it some more of the bottom end. And you can also see my EQ just low pass, because I'm really focusing on the low end. I want that sound to give me, you can hear, it sounds like a knock. Now all the sounds together, you hear. I can do a lot of things just to make them more fat, but what I'll just do here is just create a group and group them, and maybe also just limit that. Where's my group, my sub bass group, before we add any more layers to add to the sound. This is sci-fi. This is me just being playful, trying to be creative, just trying to let my imagination run wild. But this is just the basics of how you do something like this, a sci-fi explosion. Now I'm going to add the other sound, just unmute that and solo that so you can hear the sound on its own. That's more of an explosion, but still I want that sub. I'll just check out a lot of the highs, just low pass most of that. Just want more of the that just at that bottom. So I'm overusing my limiter, because a limiter really does that. It gives you more bottom. That's what it brings out of a mix. Those are the I don't want to say picks, but that's what the limiter is really good at. Now you can hear all my sounds combined. It sounds okay. Not so bad. Not bad. Obviously you can do more, but for the sake of these tutorials, it's just giving you an idea of how you'd go about it, or just I'm playing with it, so maybe you can see how you can also play with it. It's all up to you. It's another sound. It goes to my group, and if you hear everything, you'll hear that initial impact. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted, just that initial push. So now I'll just mute all of that and add another sound. As you can see, that's just a hum, an electric hum. I'm feeling that would work, or I felt that would work better in this scenario, just putting in electric buzz. As you can see what's going on from our video, we have that, and then just have that blue spark, of which I'm seeing it as an electricity based sound, if that makes sense. Just a hum. Just trying to get it nicely lined up so it just makes sense. It doesn't happen later or earlier than our initial impact. Now I'm putting another sound. I'm adding another layer, as you can hear that. I'm still messing with the electricity hum sounds. I felt that made more sense, putting that. You can do a lot when it comes to sci-fi. It's just how you play with your sound, the sound that you get. You can even go as far as creating your own sounds, as long as it's something that can be acceptable to the brain. Because none of us really know what an explosion in space would sound like. We just assume, because we know from sound theory that sound is the displacement of air molecules. So in space there are no air molecules, so sound behaves differently. So I'm just going to fiddle with my EQ again, just to try and get my layers nicely balanced. If you get what I mean, just trying to get the layers to balance. Then there's my other sound, the last sound. It's still another electric buzz type sound. You can see something is going on. As I said, there's really no right, no wrong when it comes to this imaginative sound designs. It's just up to you as the individual. What do you want? So I'll be throwing in another sound, that's another kick drum basically, into my design, just to add more detail to my layer. Because all I'm doing is layering sounds on top of, just stacking. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sounds just being layered to give me that perfect whatever that I want. So as you can see, I'm just going frame by frame to just see where the explosion starts. As you can see from the video screen, that small fire, just go back smaller, that means it's just starting. That's just milliseconds or seconds after initial impact. You want to get your sounds right on top of it, right on top of that. Just put it there. Now let's hear it. Ooh. Yeah, it's still that knock. And this sounds like a live kick drum, and it just adds more also of that high end detail that I EQ out a lot. And I'm going to do that again, because all I want is for you to really feel the initial impact, that sappiness of the explosion, to just show you it's a big explosion. So what you get: low pass, and here we go. Now I feel like my sounds are sitting nicely in the mix. As I said, going back to these things, it's just a case of what do you feel like. If you don't have a director or a movie producer or someone of that sort to guide you and tell you what they want, the opportunities are endless, or the options are just endless. It's how you play with your tools and how far you go into doing your thing. So just open the screen to be bigger so we can see the whole sound design. Thank you guys. That was just a breakdown of a sci-fi video I did. Thank you. See you next time.